I, nearly adult male, haven't had a good relationship with my mom or stepdad for the past few months. I'm angry at them because 2 years ago when my dad passed away, he left me an inheritance that I'm supposed to get on my 18th birthday. I also get survivor benefits that my mom uses for me when I need things, so it's not like she used this inheritance for me. They bought a house that we moved into. It was weird because we always lived in a 3-bedroom apartment. My stepdad is a substitute teacher, and my mom's a part-time receptionist. They never even had enough to go on vacation or something, but suddenly they had a large house out of nowhere. My mom looked guilty until she finally admitted they used some of what my dad left me to buy the house. I lost my crap. They tried to justify that it was for me too, and I asked them whether that means they're moving out when I'm 18 and the house is going to be in my name, and they're like, no. That's what I thought. Supposedly the house was for me, but the max time I would have lived there was a few months. There's still some money left if I went to a cheap college, but I still can't believe they used my money for something on themselves. That amount could have helped me get my own damn house. Also, I think it's funny, since my stepdad didn't like my dad, because since I was spending more time with him, my mom had to pay a little in child support. But he doesn't care about using the money he left for me. Sorry if this is a bit of a rant, but I'm asking if I was an idiot here. Last Saturday, his family all came to stay at the house. They stayed Friday night, and so it was the next morning when I was getting ready for work. I made myself eggs in a hurry. Before I left, my stepdad asked me why there wasn't more for his family. I told him it was because I was already leaving for work and there wouldn't be time to make something for everyone. He acted like it's not a big deal if I'm a little late, since it's rare they have people over at the house. We go back and forth because I'm not going to stop to make breakfast when he can do it himself. So then he pulled, "Don't talk to me like that in my house." There's no door in the kitchen, and that leads right to the living room, so they can hear all this. So I said loudly, "Actually, it's my house, since you paid for it with the money you stole from me." My mom is expecting me to apologize for embarrassing him in front of his whole family because they all had crap to say about it after I left. They had already gone home by the time I got home, but you could feel the tension. He straight up ignored me. That's how bad it was. I don't feel like there's anything for me to apologize for. So that's where she thinks I'm not a good son and kind of an idiot. I want to know if others feel the same. So am I the idiot? Screw your idiot stepdad and your mom, but especially your stepdad. Get a lawyer. Do not let that crap go. I would be beyond furious to find out they bought themselves a house. You're just a kid, and they say it's for you? Get out of here. I'm absolutely livid just reading this crap. Honestly, I say his mom is actually the biggest idiot here. That's her child that she completely screwed. I doubt the stepdad was named trustee or executor of the funds. She had to have agreed to this for it to happen. I can't imagine betraying my kid like that. Spending your child's inheritance on a house with your new partner is beyond selfish and foul. Even if you were 10 and had 8 years to live in that house, they had no right to spend your inheritance on their house. That money was for your future, not theirs. To be honest, I don't think you did anything wrong by expressing it's your house. Was it petty? Yes, but justifiably so. It doesn't even sound like you were trying to humiliate him. You stated the truth. He wouldn't be embarrassed if there weren't merit to what you said. Kiddo, you might need to get a copy of the paperwork that says it's your inheritance and who's in control of the decisions. I think you should talk to an estate lawyer, because if your dad structured his will correctly, I would say your mother has misused funds put in a trust for you for her benefit. Don't pick a huge fight with your mom and stepdad over this until you have the facts, but I really think you should have a professional review the situation and let you know your options. OP, go to a lawyer who deals with breach of fiduciary responsibilities, specifically a litigator. Mom and stepdad most likely breached their duties as custodians of OP's funds. Bring the suit as soon as you turn 18, as there are time limits, statutes of limitations involved. Not exactly my area, but I believe that in my state, it's 1 year from when you turn 18. I am 19 female, and my sister is 30. Background: I made some stupid decisions and became pregnant when I was way too young. I wanted to end it, but my older sister, who was 25, was infertile and pressured me to let her and her husband raise the baby. I agreed as long as I didn't have to be involved in my daughter's life. So my sister and her husband legally adopted her. I'm still living at home with my parents, 57 male and 55 female, while I finish high school. I am 2 years behind because I missed a lot of time during and after the pregnancy. I won't graduate until next year, when I'll be 20. A few months ago, my sister and her husband broke up, and now she and my daughter, young child, have moved back in with my parents. I did not want this to happen, but I also didn't want them to be homeless, so I accepted it. I'm finding it very difficult to adjust to being around them, but I've just been taking on extra hours at my part-time job and going to the library to study rather than being at home. I would move out, but I can't afford to while I'm still in high school because I can't work enough hours to pay for rent, and I can't get a better paid job until I have my qualification. My sister has started asking me to look after the child in the evenings so that she can go out and socialize. Although I told her I'm not comfortable with this and she needs to hire a babysitter. She told me it's not babysitting when it's my own child and I need to bond with her. Whenever she asked me, I immediately left the house to stay with a friend for the night. I've told my parents how upset I am about this, but they told me I have to be sensitive to the tough times my sister's going through, and it would be much better if we could all get along together as a family again. They think once I get to know the girl, I will enjoy spending time with her. I'm beginning to think I owe it to my parents to try, but it's so difficult for me. Am I the idiot for not wanting anything to do with her? Not the idiot. Tough times? Because your poor sister can't go out clubbing? If your sister had not wanted your baby as a child, you would have given it up for adoption. She's not your daughter. She's your sister's daughter. Even if you had been so inclined to babysit, all the sister wants to do is socialize. That is not a good enough reason. Do not let your family pressure you into something you don't want to do. Tell them no, and you will not babysit under any circumstances. Tell them you'll be cordial to your sister, but she's creating the problem. Let me get this straight. Your sister pressured you to allow her to raise the child as her own, but now that it's financially convenient for her, the child is suddenly your own child again, so that she can manipulate you into providing free babysitting so she can go out and socialize? Your sister can't have it both ways, and she needs to get that straight right now. It's just a crappy thing to do. It is the child of the sister now. It is hard enough for OP to see the child that she gave birth to daily, but pulling the mother card out to get what she wants is such an idiot move. She isn't the mother. She doesn't need a bond. And just to go out? Maybe living with other family or friends is an option. I, female 31, have been married to my husband, male 33, for 1 year. I have 2 kids with my ex, but he's not in the picture. My husband loves the kids. However, he has a habit of making them play messengers between us. What he started doing recently is sending me kisses with the kids. He'd either have my very young son or daughter to come up to me and kiss me on the cheek and say, "Timmy sent you this kiss," or "Timmy said you should have this kiss." This happens often and I don't like it for several reasons. One, those kisses are from him, not the kids. And I'm not too fond of the fact that he uses the kids for it, seeing they might not be up for it all the time, but are forced to. And 2, the idea of kids playing messenger is bothersome because he also uses them to play messenger whenever we fight. So I told him to stop and he said he would. But Sunday morning I woke up to my youngest wanting to deliver a kiss from Timmy. I was bothered but couldn't turn him away, so I let him kiss me on the cheek, though I was 110% sure he felt forced to do it. I got up, went into the kitchen where my husband was, and snapped at him for still sending kisses to the kids. He began arguing with me that there was nothing wrong with what he was doing, teaching the kids to be more affectionate. I told him that those kisses were from him on his own time and were not theirs. Again, he argued that it was no big deal, and I literally have no reason to complain other than being completely uptight and whiny by nature. I felt offended because of this, but I didn't want to escalate the argument, so I said this needed to stop, and he suddenly got so upset and walked out of the kitchen, saying I ruined his entire weekend with my nonsense complaints. But did I? Am I being unreasonable? Not the idiot. I would be bothered by the constant kisses too, but I would be even more bothered by this. He also uses them to play messenger whenever we fight. This is absolutely unacceptable. Kids should never be involved in the arguments. This is a boundary that should not be crossed, and he should be mindful of it. And he's not even their dad. Yikes on bikes. This is just so wrong from every angle. First, making kids a go-between for parents is awful. Goes on to the parents never speaking and the kids feeling guilty and responsible, and also involved in adult fights. Then he attacks your personality by calling you uptight and whiny for daring to set boundaries for your children. Also, the sudden flare of anger, very worrying. Kids should never be the messenger, ever. He needs to stop this. To me, it sounds like he wants to interrupt whatever it is you're doing, but doesn't want to catch the blame. So he sends the kids. And it's backfiring because you're still getting mad at him for using your children. Think about the times he sent the kids for kisses and what you were doing. See if a pattern arises. I, female 29, moved to a new neighborhood almost 2 years ago. I live alone with no partner or kids, but my mom, 80, does live with me part of the year, 6 to 8 months. I really like this neighborhood and haven't had any issues until now. It's a very tight-knit community. Neighborhood barbecues at least once a month. The kids all play together after school, etc. My next-door neighbors to one side have a severely disabled child. She's a young child, completely nonverbal, and wheelchair-bound. They have nurses who help care for her, but I know her parents are struggling, understandably so. Her mom had to quit her job and is a full-time carer for her and their other older child. I've gotten relatively close to them, the parents, and they are lovely neighbors. Their older child is respectful and honestly, one of the sweetest children in the neighborhood. For my mom, I bought a minivan and had it customized to have a ramp and wheelchair tie-downs so that I can easily transport her and her mobility equipment, usually an ECV or wheelchair, when she's staying with me. The other 4 to 6 months of the year, when my mom spends time with her sister and friends in our home country, the car sits unused, primarily unless I have a reason to move bigger things that won't fit in my daily driver. I noticed that the neighbors didn't have a car suitable for transporting their daughter without taking her out of the wheelchair and fighting to keep all her tubes and wires in place. So I offered them my minivan if I wasn't using it to transport my mom. We've had an agreement in place that has worked well for us for almost 18 months, but now they've asked if they can use the car to go on a road trip. The trip is scheduled to last just over 2 weeks. The main reason for the trip is to take the kids to Disney World for the first time. My problem is that my mom is supposed to arrive a couple of days after they would leave. I asked if they could delay the trip by just a few days so I could at least get her from the airport with minimal stress. They're adamant that they leave on the dates they want to. I said no, I need to be able to comfortably get my mom from the airport, and after a 12-hour flight, I want her to be comfortable and not have to worry about getting in and out of the car. They called me selfish, and I've been ousted by the rest of the community. I wasn't invited to the last barbecue, and nobody says hi or waves back at me on the street anymore. The neighbor kids who come by to see my dogs and run around the yard haven't been by in almost 2 weeks. I tried to text the neighbors, but my text went undelivered, so I think they blocked me. I feel like I'm living in a hostile environment now, and it's so uncomfortable. Should I just cave and let them take my car? Not the idiot, and don't cave. Unfortunately, it appears your friendly neighborhood is actually made up of a group of false friends. You didn't ask for anything unreasonable, but they wouldn't adjust for you, even though you were incredibly generous with them. This neighborhood has turned toxic, and if it's possible, I suggest you find a community of more honest people. Also, who the heck bases their vacation around someone else's car? The audacity to call OP selfish after 1.5 years of letting them use her van just to be nice, let alone trying to find a compromise. That's outrageous. You're a good person, OP. Don't let the idiots win. I also wouldn't be surprised if they changed some of the stories to make themselves look better. I tell all the neighbors your side of the story, whether you move or not. This is a whole other level of ridiculous choosy beggar behavior. I'm sorry that your neighborhood has turned on you. I think you should rescind all offers to use the van, period. because their behavior is disgusting. Also, if they can afford a road trip to Disney World for 2 weeks, then I kind of doubt they're as hard off as they've represented themselves. OP, I think these neighbors have taken advantage of your generous nature. A 2-week trip to Disney World for 4 people will cost several grand, and that's if they pack their own food and stay in properties far from the resort. Instead of saving that money to buy a van of their own, they think they should be able to blow it on vacation and demand you provide their transportation for free. Why should they ever buy a vehicle of their own if they can bully you into providing a free ride? I, 23 male, am in the process of moving in with my girlfriend, 22. I've stayed the night at her place a couple of times, and across her bed, she has a shelf with various knickknacks, including a picture of her dad when he was our age, before she was born. I think it's creepy, and I don't like it. Another creep factor to me is that it's in a heart-shaped frame. I don't know what purpose she had for the picture of her dad when he was young and not so daddish. Plus, he's alive and well, and she sees him often. So I don't understand any display of family members, and it's the only family picture she has. I get it if it was in a photo album, but it's a lone picture on a shelf full of unrelated items. I spoke to her last night and asked her to take it down because I don't like looking at it. I don't want to look at a picture of a man I don't know as soon as I wake up. I know her dad now, but I didn't 30 years ago when he was at that age. So I told her I thought it was weird, and if she wanted me to move in, she had to remove it. She got upset, saying that she's had it since she was a little girl, and she's always been close and loved her dad very much. I told her I think it's weird that she has a picture of her dad at a similar age to her in a heart-shaped frame. She started crying and accusing me of making her relationship with her dad weird, and it's just a picture that she's never thought much of. She even compromised to say if I don't want it to be the first thing I see every morning, she can flip it down before bed. I said no, that I find it weird even in concept. She made me go home and hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the idiot? Isn't it wonderful when the trash takes itself out? You are the idiot. You took something sweet and innocent and just made it creepy. And the fact that you saw it that way says more about you than you know. Stick to your guns and don't move in. She deserves better. What is wrong with you? Her photo of her dad makes you insecure? Are you jealous of her dad? That's pathetic. What a weird thing to be upset over. Because he's alive, she can't have pictures of him? And it has to be a current picture because you didn't know him then? Jesus, I'd dump you and keep the picture if I were her. She's right. You're the one being creepy. It's a picture of her dad that she's had since she was a young child. If that threatens you, the issue is you, not the picture. Right. I mean, we have had dudes jealous of exes, kids, face cream, dead husbands, blankets, bath time, pets, and now checks notes, rolls eyes, family photographs. So this might be a new low. You are the idiot, in case that wasn't clear.